So for generosity, there are 5 different subcategories, okay? The generosity to do with giving things, generosity from humility, generosity.
It is best to let them listen to the chanting of the monks, for they could gain more peace and enrich their spirit to cruise a better way, or to make way to heaven up high.
If you would like to meditate, we shall learn together right now. If you are new to meditation, just don't worry.
Swadika. Hello and welcome to another edition of Meditation for All, a show which leaves you feeling spiritually centered and uplifted. I am Sananpan Ratjan, your host for today. Meditation for All has come to its 40th edition, and we hope that you've enjoyed our show so far. For regular viewers, we hope you are now familiar with Buddhism and no longer a beginner in practicing meditation. Accordingly, we have extended the time for both teaching monks to be with you a little longer for your enjoyment and benefits. First, Venerable Nicholas will be speaking about Bunkiraya Wattu, or ways in which you can cultivate merit through the act of generosity, self-discipline, or keeping precepts, and meditation. With this information, we hope that you have a clearer understanding of the retribution and how we can make our lives better.
The 3 Punya Kiriya Wattu. Does anyone know which 3 they are? Anyone know any one of them? Yeah? Generosity. That's the first one. Dana, or generosity. This is the first of the 3 Punya Kiriya Wattu. Any others? Keeping the precepts and meditation. Okay? And in fact, these form the basis of most of the activities which we do when we come to the temple. Because when we come to a temple or when we come for training, then this is what we want to collect up for ourselves. But if you want to be more detailed, and what I'll do now is explain it in a little bit more detail. From these 3 categories, in fact, you can enlarge the detail to give you a total of 10 different ways in which you can cultivate merit. So we get 10 Punya Kiriya Wattu in the place of 3 Punya Kiriya Wattu. But what we find is that they are, in fact, just expansions of what we have for generosity, keeping the precepts, and practice of meditation. So we'll take a look at these now. And if you want to follow it in your notes, you find it in the form of a table. Basically, generosity is any form of action where you let go of something which belongs to you so that it may go to someone else, and that thing may be of benefit to that person. So it should be something which they need or something which is useful to them. Normally, when we think of generosity, we think of giving something material to other people. For example, giving a gift to them. If a person is missing out on clothes, if you give them a gift of clothes, usually because you have an excess of clothes for yourself, if you give them clothes, then that is seen as an act of dana or generosity, because you're giving something which is obviously of use to them. Normally when we're talking about dana, we give things which are surplus to our needs. So for example, if you have a plate of food and you know that you can't finish all the food for yourself, so you give half of it to your friend who you know is hungry, then this would be seen as an act of generosity. However, we must bear in mind that it must be of benefit to that person. If you give the gift of a gun to two people as they are fighting, then although this is also letting go of something, but it's not seen as generosity in the strict sense we're talking about it in Buddhism, because as a result of that, one of them is going to die. Okay, so that's not creating benefit; it's creating more serious violence than was there in the first place. Bringing someone a bottle of wine when you visit them at their home is not seen as generosity, because when the person drinks the wine, then it reduces their ability to understand the world according to reality. So things like this are not considered worthy gifts in Buddhism. Even if they don't drink it themselves, they give it to someone else, then that's transferred the difficulty to understand reality is passed on to someone else instead. So it's not just letting go of something, it has to be truly useful as well. But in fact, it's not just physical things which we can give. A teacher who goes out of their way to teach useful knowledge to a child or a student is also said to be a form of giving. It's not just the case for a teacher who is paid to teach a certain subject and they're doing it just for the wages, but the sort of teacher who stays on after school helping out the children until they do understand, no matter whether they get paid more for their overtime or not. This is a form of generosity. Giving Dhamma knowledge, as I'm doing by giving a talk to explain, to elucidate aspects of spiritual knowledge, not just vocational knowledge for how to earn your living, but how you can better lead your life, for example. This is also known as a form of generosity, but it's called the gift of Dhamma, or the gift of Dhamma knowledge. One thing which is often harder to give than a physical object is the ability to be able to let go of certain negative emotions which you may have towards another person. For example, if you have a grudge towards someone else, you are carrying around this grudge with you. If you're able to forgive that person, well, the roots of the English word already tell you that it's a form of giving too. It's a form of generosity, that you can let go of that negative emotion which you have for the person. If you can do that, you can show your humility in this way, then it's said to also be a form of generosity. You don't need to spend any money at all, but yes, you can cultivate merit of generosity as a result of forgiving people. And said that even smiling at people is a form of generosity in a way. You can make their day by smiling at them. But also within the category of generosity, we have other forms of good behaviors which have a similar sort of effect. Being humble is also said to be a form of generosity. Humility normally means that you don't look down on people, no matter how disadvantaged they may be, even though they may be less knowledgeable than you, even though they may be of a lower social status than you. If you're not the sort of person who is arrogant, you're not the sort of person who looks down on people simply because of who they are, then that is also, simply by an attitude, is a way of earning merit for yourself. And this is why you find in many Buddhist societies the ideal sort of character which people have is that of humility. They are not the sort of people who weigh the world down by their own weight. So they go gently in different places, they don't make enemies easily. This is the standard behavior of Buddhists. because even by such an attitude to the world, you earn merit every day, which you are humble. So you're not boastful, you don't look down on people. The next sort is not giving things to others, but it may be giving them a helping hand, what we call service. The sort of thing you're doing when you bring some water for the monk to drink, you set up the microphone so the monk doesn't need to speak so loudly, or even things like cleaning out the toilets, sweeping around the temple. These are all, by your helpful actions, it is a form of giving. You're giving your strength, you're giving your time. All voluntary work for things which is of ultimate benefit for society is forms of service. Less easy perhaps to understand is what we call the transfer of merit. If we can store up a certain amount of energy in our mind through cultivating merit, maybe by one of the activities we already mentioned, if we are not the sort of person who wants to hang on to that energy, but is also willing to share that energy for the benefit of others, then this is also an additional form of merit. It's not that you collect up 100 merit points by sweeping the road and you want to keep it all for yourself. But if you mention that to others, oh, today I had the chance to sweep the road, and don't you feel glad about that as well? To have others rejoice in your merit. If you are open like that towards others, and they rejoice in your merit too, then it's as if you share the merit with others. And it's not that you lose half the merit and they get the other half, but in fact, the amount of merit you have is increased further. From 100, maybe it's 150, because of the fact that you are willing to share this merit with others. If you mention it to others, then that's a fairly sort of easy way of sharing merit to understand. But also, and more importantly, in Buddhist culture, we have the many ceremonies. We share the merit also for the departed. So when people, especially those who we value or we respect, pass away, we realize that after they're dead, their opportunity to cultivate merit for themselves is not possible or not nearly so easy anymore. So it's a Buddhist tradition that those who are still alive, if they are thinking about those who have passed away, instead of mourning them, instead of feeling sad about them, or instead of putting flowers on their grave, they try to do as many good deeds as possible, and then they make the wish that this merit be shared also for the benefit of those departed ones. And that adds to your merit actually, but it's also good for those who have departed who have merit to top up their merit, which may be running down in their afterlife destination. So when you see people pouring water in the Buddhist ceremonies, in fact it's not just pouring water which they're doing, but they're using that as a symbol for the merit in their mind, which is flowing towards where their loved ones may be in another afterlife destination. Okay. Just as you can transfer merit to others, you can also rejoice in the merit which other people have done, what we call anumodana. You may hear this a lot even in Thai language, anumodana bun. This means that the other person appreciates the good deeds which you are doing and they want to share in them with you. They want to congratulate you that you are doing a good deed. This is in contrast to certain people who say, oh, they've made a bigger merit than I have. I'm not speaking to them anymore. There are certain people like this who have an element of envy or jealousy about what good deeds other people may do. When they see someone else get something better than themselves, they're not happy about it. Even if they see someone doing a good deed which is better than they could do, instead of feeling glad about it, glad for that person at least, they feel embarrassed, or they feel that it's one-upmanship. But if you see someone doing a meritorious deed, maybe even a meritorious deed which is better than you could do yourself, if you rejoice in their merit by saying Anumodana or Sadhu, then this shows that you have a much broader mind, and also you have a part of their merit as well. But our abbot says to beware of the sort of people who never do any sorts of merit for themselves, but they always hang around waiting for other people who may do some sort of merit, and they say, oh, sadhu, 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 all day long they're saying sadhu to all the people. They never did any sort of merit themselves. In fact, you should also do merits yourself. Otherwise, all you get is the remnants of their merit. You don't get the real strong merit from having done a good deed. Okay? So for generosity, there are 5 different subcategories. Okay? The generosity to do with giving things, generosity from humility, generosity from helpfulness, generosity from sharing your merit with others, and generosity from rejoicing in the merit of others. Next, we move on to the second main category of merits, which is keeping the precepts of what we call self-discipline. Keeping the precepts in Buddhism is not quite the same as keeping the 10 Commandments or whatever in other religions, because precepts are called rules of training. They're called rules of training because it is accepted in the beginning that we are not perfect in our ability to keep them, but it's something which we aim for. You may try not to kill any living being, but you may, before you realize it, have slapped a mosquito dead, because you haven't quite realized yet that, I'm supposed to be keeping the precepts. But later on, that self-control comes more naturally as you try to keep the precepts better, until eventually what you approximated to keeping the precepts before actually becomes a reality. Usually precepts are to do with the things that we say and the things that we do. But once it becomes internalized, once it becomes second nature to keep the precepts, in fact, the effects of the precepts run deeper than that. They start to change how you see the world, they start to change how you think about the world, and eventually that changes the quality of your mind. This is when merit starts to occur for you, because it actually is purifying the quality of the mind directly. In general, the more precepts you keep, the more merit there is. But normally we keep at least 5 precepts. It doesn't come any less than that, okay? So keeping the 8 precepts as we're doing at the moment, or moving up to 227 precepts as a monk, then the amount of merit gained becomes increasingly more. So you'd see that even by being a monk and keeping your precepts strictly, you get merit. No need to spend any money, okay? But you get merit the whole time, simply from the fact that you are maintaining your precepts strictly. And if you reflect on that, the purity which comes from keeping the precepts, then the merit is all the more. There's only one in this self-discipline category. So we move on to the third major category, which is that of meditation, or bhavana. In fact, it's not meditation alone which is contained in this category. Also things like doing chanting, or reading from Dhamma scriptures or Dhamma books. Anything which helps to increase your understanding of the Dhamma either by meditation or by reading explanations of the Dhamma, by understanding what you're chanting, then these things will give rise to merit inside yourself. If you listen to a Dhamma teaching, as you're doing at the moment, then hopefully this will help you to understand the Dhamma better, and that will lead to more brightness in your mind and hence merit. Not only listening to a Dhamma teaching, if you understand the Dhamma well enough to be able to explain it to others, then by explaining it, that is also a way of earning merit for yourself. Merit of giving a Dhamma teaching. And last but not least, there are 4 in this category. Straightening out your own views to be views which are according more with the reality of the world is also a form of gaining merit by meditation. This sort of thing normally refers to meditation at a high level, where you start to change your attitudes to the world as a result of your meditation experience. So for example, on a very simple, given a simple example, maybe from a person who was easily irritated in the past, as you meditate more, your character starts to change so that you become a person who is less easily irritated. You are more easygoing. This is an example of changes of your attitudes or changes of your views about the world. On a deeper level, it will be things like maybe before you weren't very confident about the way in which the law of karma worked. You weren't really sure whether doing good things would lead to good results or not. You weren't really sure that whether doing bad things led to bad results or not. But as you meditate more deeply, you see the connections between things more directly, more clearly, and your confidence in this increases. The 10 particular sorts of view which the Buddha singled out as being right view. You know any of these? That there is an afterlife, that death is not the end of the story, that generosity is good, that social welfare is useful, that you have a debt of gratitude to your mother, that you have a debt of gratitude to your father, that actions give results, so like karma works, that there is a possibility that by meditating you can become enlightened. These are the sort of things which are included in the 10 categories of right view. In the beginning we may not believe these things very sincerely, okay, but we go along with it. But later, as we meditate more, we have more confidence in this as a result of our meditation.
Death is unavoidable. In Buddhist culture, you will see how Buddhist people prepare for facing death in the last chapter of life.
We have passed through many chapters of life, from toddler to childhood, through our teenage years, and so on. Nobody knows the exact date of their last chapter. What do we do when the finale is on stage, but the final curtain is yet to be drawn? Yes, Buddhism plays an important role for the life and their family. It is lucky if a life is taken by disease. The final chapter is possibly decorated by the finishing touch of the last conclusion of one's life. Firstly, it is to clear bad events or experiences out of their memory by reminding them of good ones. Let every beautiful moment fill their thoughts and memory to beautify their feeling and tune it to serenity. Meditation will take care of the mind at this moment. It will bring the wandering mind of the patient back to its shelter. Buddhism says that this is at the center of the body, the place that the mind can shelter itself under to ease suffering and to avoid frustration. In the Buddhist way, cousins or family would ask a Buddhist monk out of his kindness to come and receive a set of robes or something necessary from the patient, and also give advice on meditation. It is the final activity the patient could easily lay the memory on. Buddhism believes that this precious moment will draw good activities all along the life to be the admirable conclusion. It is up to the family to hold the mourning ceremony at home, but it is best to do this at a temple. All of the family, close cousins and friends can ask for forgiveness by pouring clean water on the palm of the dead body. After that, all the ceremony is related to the belief. Buddhists believe that the spirit of who had already left his or her body will be around the home and family for 7 days before final leave. It is best to let them listen to the chanting of the monks, for they could gain more peace and enrich their spirit to cruise a better way, or to make way to heaven up high. The Buddhist activities will take place over the 7 days. It is also important to invite 4 monks to chant every evening. Some chant for 3 days, some 5, but most will chant for 7 days in a row. This is up to the family. Monks chant about the truth of life that is based on 4 major things: birth, getting old, disease, and death. This isn't just for the deceased, it is also for everybody gathered around to remind them about themselves and the way their life should be, because death is for everybody, every age, and every stage we stand. Death can intrude to any level and any lifestyle. So, let safety stand on the venue of being good, sharing, love, and kindness. Upon Buddhist belief, mainly in Southeast Asia, the body of the deceased to be burned down after 3, 5, or 7 days of the ceremony. But in many families, they prefer to keep the body for longer to allow all of the family members to get together. There are many things to manage, so it is good to wait for the right time. It could be 100 days or 1 year of preparation. Also, the members of the family will get ready for being absolutely departed. Life is like this. No one can be eternally together. It is better to love and be good to one another. Life is very short. It is better to make an admirable conclusion in each evening for a promise of a better tomorrow, whether we wake up or not.
Coming up next is a meditation session. Join Venerable Somsak Tiyasilo, who will guide you and listen to the Song of Life through meditation.
It is very nice that we meet again. We have learned, we have talked, we have tried meditation for many times, and we can go deeper about the fact of life. Life is always changing, nothing stays the same. But we will learn how Buddhist people survive the life in the plateau of contentment. Life is always swaying to and fro, back and forth, here and there, up and down. Anyway, life is always affected by the external factors. For example, the climates, conversations, finance, and all the turbulence in life. But another part, which is more controllable by our own mind, is the internal factor. For example, needs and wants, desire, anger, and so on. This can be managed somehow, more or less by means of meditation. If you would like to meditate, we shall learn together right now. If you are new to meditation, just don't worry. It is always easy to start meditation. But before closing the eyes, you can look around and you compare that sometimes two people, they have just the same things. For example, same level of income, same housing, same make of the car, and so on. But inside the mind, there must be different. Who knows, two people, one may be smiling, another one may be sweeping. But in the process of the mind, to understand the mind, meditation is the key. Now, ready for meditation? Okay, we adjust the sitting position. At least the back should be straight, and choose any corner of your own place that suits you most. And choose only sitting position. You can sit on the floor, on the cushion, on the chair, whatever you feel best. Then we shall close the eyes together. Softly close the eyes. Just allow the eyelids and the eyelashes just softly touch one another. Let relaxation arises and spread all over the face. All around the body. It is like relaxation is flowing down to cover the entire body of ours. We feel more and more relaxed. Better relaxed as each minute passes by. We can take a few good deep breaths to let go, to relax and to let go. To start with, we follow the in-breath inward, the inner body. Follow such a deep, long in-breath in. The wind passes the lungs downward to the center, to the middle of the abdomen. And then the in-breath would turn out-breath. At the turning point where the in-breath turns out, this is the station of peace. We call this the home base of the peaceful mind. That means whenever the mind is situated or the mind rests here, the mind is really peaceful. Allow the mind to stay still at this station of peace inside the center of the abdomen. Make sure the body is thoroughly relaxed. Each breath is really soft. The mind is always soft and gentle over the station of peace. It is as if we are really still in the surroundings that always move here and there. But that doesn't matter at all. As long as we are still, so calm inside the station of peace, we are okay always amid changes, fluctuations, and everything that moves. It's like we are in the center. We are the center of everything. We have been in the center of our own sky. This is a sky of contentment. Every time the mind is at the center, we are in the middle of the sky of contentment. Remain motionless in the center of the sky of contentment for a little while. we are gaining more and more stillness, because the mind is always at the center, at the station of peace. We are gaining more tranquility of the mind. The stillness we are gaining is not the stillness of the still body. On the other hand, we are talking about the stillness of the mind. When the mind is still, we can enjoy life despite the movements of everything outside. So we can be smart, so smart and cool in the chaotic world everyone is facing. Stay still. Make sure relaxation is with us all the time. Make sure the mind moves no more at the station of peace. Continue the moment of peacefulness for a little longer in quietness together. We just then confirm the existence of the mind at the very center of the abdomen. Confirm that the mind is always here. This is the origin and the base. It is the base for the understandings of life. When the mind moves no more, no longer, the mind will get to understand the very fact of life. Life is up and down, smiling and sweeping. And to get to the center of peace, here at the turning point, we have got the full understanding of life. This is the power of our living when we get to understand 100% or next to 100% the fact of life, the nature of fluctuation of life. So we are always happy and unaffected about the fluctuations of life. So we can live happily amid the song of bittersweet. When it's bitter, we understand. When it's sweet, we cherish it, understand it, and learn to live the life in the tide of rise and fall, in the taste of bitter and sweet. This could be achieved by going back to the station, to the place where understandings are created. That is the station of peace. We start in meditation together. Enjoy the moment where the mind is at the station of peace. Then sharing is going to take place. We shall share inner peace to every being from this moment onwards. Starting from a tiny dot, a spot in the center of the body. Lit the inner light inside the station of peace. And we get a bright dot, and we expand the feeling of peace. When the bright dot is growing to be a bigger sphere, this is the sphere of peacefulness shining in itself. It is shining because this is the nature of the pure mind. Buddhism specifies the size, the shape of the mind as a sphere form. It has the attribute of being so bright in itself. So our shape of the mind, carrying peace, is expanding, growing bigger and bigger, letting us a chance to enjoy more and more peace of mind. Allow us to expand and start to share inner peace to everyone else. So allow the mind to grow, to expand endlessly, where the rim of the sphere touches the horizon all around 180 degrees. So we share inner peace to create world peace. Let each and every soul be touched by our inner happiness, and then wish they are all happy together with us at the same time. And if time comes to an end, we start to confirm again the existence of the mind at the station of peace in the middle of the abdomen. Take a good deep breath again. And we can count down from 3 to 0 and slowly open up. I'd like to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. And if you look around again, you see everything remains the same. But the feeling of yourself inside is not the same. It is better, more peaceful, and this is a peace you created by yourself. This is the fruits from meditation. Hope you enjoy meditation further and further until we meet again. Sawadee. See you next time. Have a good meditation progress, everyone.
Now that you have joined Venerable Piyasilo throughout his period, we believe that you are stored with energy, relaxed, and ready for a bright new day. We hope to see you again next week. Until then, goodbye. สวัสดีค่ะ